How we doing, everybody, and welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is April. Goodness, it is April 2nd. I cannot believe it is already April. We got snow. We still have snow. I mean, we had snow just this last weekend falling. I was like, what is going on? We had rain, then ice, then snow. We had it all in one day. And then we have more snow coming this week, they're talking. It's just, I can't handle it. It's whatever at this point. And then it melts and we get more and it melts and we get more. It's like, when can it ever end? We didn't have snow for Christmas, but we're going to have snow in April. So that's okay right there. But hey, baseball's back. Kinda. So I mean, like, do we win? I mean, is it back? I don't know. Like, it's here. Like, we're watching, but were we really watching? I don't know. We're hoping that they stayed down. They might be still in Arizona. We don't know at this point here. So I mean, hey, we got lots to get to today. We want to talk about this Brewers whatever we're watching right now. We want to talk about that. We got Packers talk to get to. Brian Gutekunst they're out there at the owners meeting right now. So we want to talk about the Packers a little bit here today. We want to talk Badgers. A little bit of bad news for some, maybe good news for others who didn't care. I don't know. So we got Badgers to talk about today. We got lots to talk about. Aaron, how we doing? It's Wednesday. It's April. How we doing on this Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, you know me, man. I kind of live for the baseball season to start, and then opening day to me is like, I mean, you can't beat it with a stick. So I'm happy about it. Like you said, I mean, we'll definitely touch on the Brewers here at some point during the episode, which unfortunately is just the start they've had. But yeah, I'm doing well, and like I said, it's just I'm so glad baseball is back. There's already a lot of controversy, which I don't know if it's good or bad, but I guess people are talking about baseball, so I guess that's a good thing.
Well, that's because they're like over March Madness already, because it's all chalk. Everybody's ticked off because it's chalk in March Madness. I don't know. It's like there's a fine line. You know, some people are like, well, you want the best teams. Yeah, you want the best teams, but I don't always want the best teams. I don't. Like, I don't want Duke. I got to be honest with you. I have rooted against Duke in every single game that they've played. I dislike Duke. I don't care if Duke's there. Everybody's like, Duke's the greatest team down there. I don't care if they lose. I don't care. Like, I would get over it. I don't need Duke to be there for me to feel good about myself. Florida, I'm good with them. Auburn, I like Bruce Pearl. Houston, there's nothing I hate about Houston. That is not a team that you can dislike. Kelvin Sampson's fantastic. LJ Cryer, I love him. But Duke, I'm over that. I gotta be honest with you, it is exhausting. It is. The other night, and I know, like, I hate to like be this guy, but I know Cooper Flagg's a great player. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a great player. He is. He's a great player. He's going to be an NBA talent. Like, don't get me wrong, I respect the talent. But the other night, he did not win that game for them against Bama. He didn't win that game. Kanoopel had a great game. So did Proctor. But the headline that I had to read, I told my wife we were going to go to bed. And I shut it off. There was like 6 minutes ago. You know, the officiating was going one way and I was irritated, right? It probably wasn't, but it was, you know, Duke was winning, so I was irritated already. And we're going to bed and I was like, I guarantee you the headline's going to read Cooper Flagg leads Duke, or in some way or shape or form, Cooper Flagg and Duke, you know, get past. Yep. He didn't even have that great of a game. I think he shot 6 for 16 on the game. He wasn't even the leading scorer. I think he was third or fourth on the team. And he was the guy. He was the guy, apparently. Let him past him. And I was like, okay. After that, I was like, I'm exhausted. I just get exhausted by that crap because you would think, as much as ESPN and all these analysts from ESPN and that, they love to just get after one guy. One guy. And it's like, did John Tonje not play basketball? Because I know Wisconsin lost in the second round of the tournament. I know Badger fans are like, oh, what are you talking about? John Tonje had 52 points through the 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. He led all players going through 2 rounds. Imagine if Wisconsin won, what he could have done going forward, right? He was hot in that tournament. He had 52 points. He led all scorers going into that, technically what would have been the Sweet 16. Nobody was talking about that. Nobody cared. Wisconsin was Wisconsin. Wisconsin was Wisconsin all season long. It didn't matter. We were all up in this, Cooper Flagg. We're all up in that. Sometimes we even forget Janai Broom's in there, and Janai Broom's fantastic for Auburn. LJ Cryer's fantastic for Houston down there. Walter Clayton's doing magic with Florida right now. But yet we're like, Duke, Cooper Flagg. I feel bad for Kanoopel, and he's on the team. And it's like Kanoopel gets, he's in a shadow because, he's on the team. Kanoopel's fantastic. And I know a little rant there. to start off the show, but it's driving me absolutely bonkers this past week. Just driving me bonkers there. So that's just something I had to get off of the chest there to start the show here. But, off of March Madness now, off of March Madness. Back over to the baseball side of things. You were talking about some controversy. Well, we're going to get into the Brewers a little bit later on in the show here, but the controversy, a lot of it started with the Yankees because of this new torpedo bat. It's the newest thing. They take a little bit of wood and they move it from the label and they move it back to the sweet spot. They want to give more wood where you're going to make contact with the ball, essentially what it is. And the rule for a bat. So I want to know what the rule was, right? I had to see what the rule was for a bat. So I was checking it out. The bat shall be a smooth, round stick, not more than 2.61 inches in diameter at the thickest part, and not more than 42 inches in length. The bat shall be one piece of solid wood. Everything that I've heard, and this sucks because I really wanted it to be illegal. Like, that was my goal, was this whole thing. Everything that I've heard, that this bat is legal. And from what I've actually heard, I was like 2.61 inches. I was like, most bats must be that. They must be close to that diameter. No, like they're not. They're not usually close to that diameter. The Yankees bat, the new one, the torpedo bat, not the Yankees bat. It's actually, a round baseball. Now the Twins have some. We saw the Orioles. We were talking about it here before the show. The Orioles are dabbling in them a little bit. There's a couple different. I think the guy from the Rays had it. He was using it there. So, there's people using these bats. It's not just the Yankees. And it's not all the Yankees. That's the thing, is everybody's like, the Yankees are using this new bat, so they hit 9 home runs in that game against the Brewers. And it's like, no, only 2 guys. Jazz Chisholm and Volpe are the only ones from the Yankees using this bat. Aaron Judge has not swung this bat yet. He uses his regular stick. And it's tanked. So it's like, what am I supposed to, it's not, what does he do if he gets his hands on that bat? Watch out, right? Because that ball is just going to fly there. But, there's nothing illegal about this bat. It's a legal bat. So, Aaron, what are your thoughts? It's an odd thing. It's an odd bat. And what are your thoughts on what's been going? This is the hot topic right now in baseball.
It absolutely is. And to get off on like the baseball season, like you said, like on a quote unquote controversy, it's interesting, right? Because baseball has been plagued with controversies over the years. You talk about the Black Sox, you talk about the steroid era, like you name it. Like baseball's been through strikes, everything under the sun. But like you said, unfortunately, I'm a huge Yankee hater, to be honest with you. About the only thing I can tolerate is Judge and their broadcast crew is like top notch in my opinion. But outside of that, it's hard to tolerate them. But I don't want to say tip my cap, but like this guy, right, that developed this bat or engineered, like helped engineer this bat. They're doing something that's working for them, especially I've heard it a lot. I think honestly this bat was probably designed by Volpe or for Volpe to begin with, just because that guy got jammed like every other. It felt like every other at bat. Guy was getting jammed on inside pitches, popping the ball straight up. So now with this like torpedo style, you're getting kind of almost like a larger sweet spot, if you will, or just like more opportunity to hit the ball on a part of the bat that's not per se like gonna pop you up. Like it gives you a chance to kind of launch the ball more with this design. If it's legal, it's legal, right? Like you said, there's a guy on the Twins dabbling in it. Like you also said, I think the Orioles were using it in spring training. I'm not sure if they have yet in the regular season, but anybody can use it then. That's the thing. It's not like this is if this was patented by the Yankees or something, I would have a huge problem with that, where it's like they have a massive advantage over the Brewers, over the Red Sox, over whoever. But like, if this is what baseball is going to, and it's in the legal parameters, I don't see a huge problem with it. And I think baseball probably loves it if it does result in more home runs, because it's going to drive more eyeballs to the sport. And like we've seen, not to say, like you said, Judge, hasn't used it, but like we've seen I look over baseball, as a whole, and I'm like, man, the ball is just I don't know if it's because it's kind of warmer right now in a lot of these places than it normally is this time of year, it feels like, but man, it feels like the ball is flying out of just every ballpark. It's just, so I don't have a problem with it. It's just, it looks strange. And like, I hope other teams can capitalize on it. Like the Yankees, have with because Chisholm can hit home runs and Volpe hits some home runs, but it seems like it's just, I don't know, it's in excess right now. But
I would agree. And I did see, I think Cody Bellinger has swung the bat. Paul Goldschmidt, Austin Wells, so some of the Yankees also using that torpedo bat in spring training, et cetera there. But I was looking, I just saw another thing about it. They said it was in an article by MLB.com. They said Giancarlo Stanton attributed his elbow injuries to bat adjustments made during the 2024 season, but declined to offer further, specifics on that. Jason Dominguez, an outfielder for the Yankees, said that Stanton was one of the players using the bats. So using one of the torpedo bats. So interesting. So Stanton, I was, because that's what my big thing was, is like everything has a flaw, right? I'm like, I want to know what, and I was asking all over Twitter and nobody could give me a stinking answer on it. But I was like, I want to know what's the flaw, right? What's the flaw of this bat? There's got to be something that I'm missing, because you can't just, nothing's perfect. There's got to be a flaw to this bat. Now I hear that Stanton had some elbow injuries, like he, struggled with in 2024, was attributed to bat adjustments. Did that have to do with torpedo bat? Will we see guys who are swinging a different style of bat who aren't used to that style of bat, switching it up like that? Will we see guys like that, get injured? I don't know. Maybe it's just a freak thing with, Giancarlo Stanton. He seems to get hurt in every which way. I don't pray for injury for anybody, but it seems like Giancarlo Stanton's always hurt. So, like, I don't know if that's the big thing. But, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely an interesting thing. I don't hate it, and like I said, Rhys Hoskins, I think I said, but either way, if I didn't, Rhys Hoskins did order a bat too. So Rhys Hoskins has got one on the way to him. So it's like the Brewers are getting him now. It's not, the Yankees didn't beat the Brewers because they're using torpedo bats. If you believe that the Yankees beat the Brewers because they're using torpedo bats, then you don't, I don't know what to say. Like, it's not, they're using illegal bats to beat you. Now, if you want to get, I think Aaron Judge should be roid tested. Like, if you want to test him for anything, Eric Thames, I got to tell you this. I don't care. Maybe he's not using roids. Like, I pray that he's not using roids, because I don't want to see, good players get, suspended for X amount of, like Profar was just suspended there for the Braves. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see guys get suspended. But Eric Thames went on that tear in 2017, 2018 there against the Reds, where he just hit home run night after night after night. And he got drug tested. I mean, after every game. They were going for steroid tests after every single game. Where's Aaron Judge's? Like, honestly. Sometimes it's just like, test these other guys. I don't understand. You get a guy like Eric Thames where he just comes in and he starts just raking, and everybody's like, oh, well, it's just, well, how is he doing it, right? But then you have a guy like Aaron Judge, and it's like, oh, well, that's normal. That's normal. Let's just let this guy go. Sometimes, like I've said before, with Ohtani, this other stuff, the MLB kind of like, hush, hush, look away. Where these other guys like Profar there with the Braves, it's like, he ain't nothing. He ain't nothing. Like, Profar ain't going to ruin the game if he's out. So, whatever. We'll check him, but why would we go check Aaron Judge or Ohtani? I'm not saying that any of these guys do it. I just think that the MLB, NBA, NFL, all those big corporations, they look in one direction. They don't look at the rest of them. They don't look at look at LeBron, but they'll go look at this low-name guy because he ain't nothing. So it's like, I don't know. So it's just, maybe just drug test. Maybe just drug test Aaron Judge. I don't know. That's the, the hurt Brewer fan. That's a hurt Brewer fan right there. But, hey, we got more to get to tonight here. We got Packers. We got Badgers. I don't know what we're going to get to. We're going to get to one of them on the backside of this break here. So we'll be right back here after this commercial break. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back. Hopefully you guys just went online. You ordered your own torpedo bats, because that's what you need. You need a torpedo bat. And, hey, you know where to find us across social media. We're going to be swinging our torpedo bats across social media there, so make sure you're checking us out across social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch. Just search us up on Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok. Search Wisco Sports on the Go. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. Search Wisco Sports on the Go with Trage. You can also email the show. You have questions, comments, concerns, criticism, whatever you want to send us. It's up to you, totally up to you. You can send it to us there at our email, wiscosportsonthego@gmail.com. That is wiscosportsonthego@gmail.com. You can also shoot us a text. If you have a comment or anything on the show here, what we're talking about, what you want us to talk about, definitely hit us up on the text in line there. Just hit us up, 715-990 4914. That is 715-990-4914. And if you missed the show or any portion of the show, you can find it next day on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you find your podcast. You can find the show. Just search Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trades there. So we went into the break. We talked about torpedo bats. We were all up in torpedo bats and why we think that Duke is exhausting. Because if you think Duke's not exhausting, well, go away. I'm done. Done with you there. But I want to talk about what the heck is happening in college basketball. Because we kind of touched on it, right? We're talking about March Madness and, everything like that. But the Badgers had, I don't know if you're going to call this troubling news, right? We're going to call it troubling news, kind of troubling news. Daniel Freitag, the former 4-star point guard coming into Wisconsin, the highest rated point guard that Greg Gard has had in his recruiting time there in Madison, he's hit the transfer portal. And it kind of came as a shock. I'm going to be honest with you because, when you looked at it with Chucky Hepburn when he was going to be there. You're like, Freitag's not going to start at point guard because Chucky's going to be there. Then Chucky decides, hey, I'm going to transfer out. Okay. That opens up the door for a little bit more of that Daniel Freitag. But then it's like, okay, I look at the veterans in the room. John Blackwell, Kamari McGee, Max Klesman, Jack Janicki really stepped into his own. You had John Tonje come in and just light the world on fire, right? Nobody knew what John Tonje was going to be until he stepped on the floor in Madison. So you looked at all those guys and you're like, okay, where was Daniel Freitag going to play? Because he had a lot of veterans in front of him. He just kept sliding down the depth chart to the point where he really wasn't going to play. So according to, and I looked at a report. This was the report from Michael McCleary over there on Twitter. It was a quote from Daniel Freitag after the NCAA tournament. And he said he wanted to come back if Wisconsin wanted him back. That was interesting. Because it's like, okay, so from the sounds of it, after the BYU game, we're looking at it like, all right, he wants to come back. But then he had a meeting with Greg Gard when he got back, and now we've come to the conclusion of Daniel Freitag is currently leaving Wisconsin. Did Gard, and this is my question now. So this is going to be my question. It's an open-ended question, I guess, because nobody has the answer, right? Maybe Gard didn't believe that he would have a huge role, right? Because he's like, from what we saw, what we understood, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to go. He was a 4-star recruit who had a ton of upside, but he wasn't ready to play at the college level. So Greg Gard wasn't just going to throw him out there, right? Greg Gard learned underneath the Bo Ryan. He coached with Bo Ryan. Bo Ryan didn't throw freshmen out there. Greg Gard's been a little more prone to throw freshmen out there, but he's not going to throw a guy out there if he's not ready. Greg Gard did not believe that I don't think that he believed that he was ready. So my question then would be, did Greg Gard believe that he was even ready to go next year? I don't think he had a guarantee. I think that was the thing. I think, he didn't guarantee him anything going into last season, but I don't think there was a guarantee even moving forward now. And I think that's where they kind of hit this little crossroad with each other. It was like, Daniel, and this is how you imagine it. It's like, Daniel, you have a lot of talent, you have a lot of upside, but I don't know what you are yet. I don't know if you've developed enough. Now, with enough work in the offseason, this next offseason here, leading into the fall, leading into the next season here, maybe, right? Maybe, but I'm not guaranteeing anything. Well, Daniel Freitag's sitting there and he's like, well, why would I stay? If you're not guaranteeing me anything, if I could just get buried on the depth chart again, why would I stay for that? So you want to hate on the guy, and it is a kind of weird one because Daniel Freitag was kind of different, right? He was I still remember the meme that Daniel Freitag posted up on Twitter there where he's like, the doctors told me not to post anything while I was on drugs or something like that. But he's like, Gard, I miss you. Like, Greg Gard, I miss you. And he was like a big, he loved Wisconsin. He loved Greg Gard. He loved everything about it. But then I look at his, going away, whatever you would call it. His going away speech or his text out to the public or whatever you want to call it there. I don't know what the heck you'd call it. It's farewell, basically, your farewell speech to Wisconsin fans there. And he didn't thank the coaches. And Jack Janicki. I thought that was weird. I thought that was extremely weird. He thanked every other guard except for Jack Janicki. I just had it, so I have it up here. He said, a special thank you to the guards who took me under their wing. Cameron Hunter, John Blackwell, John Tonje, Max Klesman, Kamari McGee. but not Jack Janicki. He was a guard too. Like, he was there. I know he's young yet, but he was there. And it's like, no thank you to Jack Janicki. But there was no thank you. There was a thank you to the fans. There was a thank you to, the players, like I said, his teammates. But no Greg Gard, no Joe Krabanoff, no Kirk Penny, nothing. I think they irritated him. They got to him. I think he was one of those guys who believed that he should play. And he wasn't. And he got upset. And he's gone. So that's kind of the sad reality now of college basketball, is that and this is the greatest quote that I ever heard from Tom Izzo. And I love Tom Izzo and I hate Tom Izzo at the same time. It's a love-hate relationship between me and Tom Izzo. I respect him, but at the same time, he irritates the crap out of me, mostly because he's a good coach, right? He's a good coach, coaches against Wisconsin. That's why, irritates me. But Tom Izzo said, none of these kids are going to learn how to fail. None of them are going to learn how to fail anymore. Because when they fail, they can just leave. They don't have to experience failure anymore. They can just walk out the door. They don't have to experience developing. All these guys, Wisconsin guys, Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, I know Decker played a little bit early, but Ben Brust and Josh Gasser and all these, Wisconsin greats over the years, they took their time to get starting, to get time to play, to work their way up. They built through the years. Now it's like, and I know it's different. It's a different landscape now in college basketball. The transfer portal is crazy. But now it's like, your guys don't have to learn how to fail. Daniel Freitag doesn't have to fail. And I know he just posted his practice highlight. He's such a doorknob. This is how much he's irritating now. He just put his freshman year practice highlights on Twitter. Like, that's what he did now. So basically, I think that was like one of them like knife stab kind of things where he's like, here's my highlight tape because I didn't play. Like, that's basically what he's trying to show there. So I was just like, that's just stupid. But I mean, it's the hard, I don't know if you call it the hard reality of college basketball now, but I don't like it. I honestly don't like it, because it's like your guys don't learn how to fail. They don't. Get kids, college players, I know they're not kids anymore. I get that, whatever you want to call them. But they don't learn how to fail, and that's life. Life is failure. Like, you look at Rick Pitino, like listening to him talk to the St. John's guys, and I don't have the whole quote up right now for when he was jacking them up in that locker room. I mean, but I don't know if anybody's heard that speech there, but like, that was the greatest speech I've ever heard a coach give. He got me fired up sitting there watching him on TikTok. I was like, this dude can coach. And I loved it. I was like, I hope that Greg Gard can go in the locker room and jack these guys up just like Rick Pitino can. I probably can't, but that speech was awesome. And it said, you guys have to learn how to fail. Failure's life, dude. Like, you guys, and basically, the quote goes on and whatever. But that's where I'm at with this whole thing, is that these guys don't fail anymore. They just leave. They just, we lost. Oh, see you later. Right? That's the same reason why I can't remember Miami's coach. What the heck? Miami's men's basketball coach. Larinaga. That's his name there, I think. Something like that. Larinaga, I think it is. Something like that. Their old coach down there. Yes, Larinaga, I think it is. But either way, Aaron's going to find it for me.
Yep, Jim Larinaga.
Yes, that's exactly why he left. Because he said in his speech when he was leaving, he said, after we went to the Final Four, I had 8 guys tell me they're leaving. 8 guys. We just went to the Final Four. How much further do you got? Like, we didn't make it to the national championship. I'm sorry, but we just went to the Final Four. And I have 8 guys tell me, yeah, coach, we're out. So you lost, so you're done? Like, you don't want to come back and try to run this baby back? Like, I don't know what it takes anymore. Like, if I'm like a Badger player from this season here, we lose to BYU by 2 on a last-second shot, I'm ticked. I want to go back. I want to go back to Madison. I want to start it back up with the boys, and I want to go hit it. I don't understand it anymore. I don't understand the mindset. I get money. Sure, I get the money aspect is there, and that's the thing that ruins most of it, right? But at the same time, I don't know. Like, there's got to be a pride aspect, right? Like Carter Gilmore for the Badgers. Like, he was a walk-on, and he continued to be a walk-on because he's like, this is where I want to be. I could go do this. I could go do that, but I want to continue to be a walk-on. He stayed as a walk-on. He's like, I just want to play for the Badgers. Those guys don't come around anymore. Chucky Hepburn said, I want to be a Badger for life. Then he left for Louisville. That's what John Blackwell, I want to believe John Blackwell ain't going anywhere because he said he wants to stay a Badger. He wants to be the greatest Badger, one of the greatest Badgers ever to do it. And I love that. I love that he said that. I don't believe him. Not today. I'll believe it when I see it. When he's on the court next season, I'll believe it. And I'm not calling him a liar. I don't want to call anybody a liar. But that's college basketball now. It's so hard to sit here and say this guy is for sure going to be back on the court. And that's the crappy part, right? So that's kind of where I wanted to transition with this. Because the transfer portal opened on March, I believe, what I tell you, March 24th there, Aaron?
Yeah, something. I'll give you a concrete. I think you're right, though.
March 24th sounds right. I swear it was like March 24th or something. March 24th. Yes. March 24th.
There you go.
That's ridiculous. March Madness is still happening. And I love this new, everybody hates the NIT and everybody hates they have this Crown basketball tournament now. I was watching the other night there, Nebraska and Arizona State there. But everybody hates these tournaments because, they're not the NCAA tournament. I love those tournaments. Those are a bunch of dudes who want to play. If you play in the NIT tournament, if you play in the CBI tournament, you play in the Crown, whatever you call it, the Crown basketball tournament, whatever they call it now, if you play in those, you just want to play ball. I love those guys. Those are the guys who just want to play ball. They don't care. They don't care. They're seniors. They're just guys who just want to play a little bit more basketball before it's all done. I love those guys. So if you want to sit here and say, it's just a crappy basketball tournament, you don't know basketball. Shut up. That's terrible. I love watching those because I watched that game the other night between Nebraska and Arizona State. You would have thought it was a regular season game for a title. Because those dudes were just going at it. And they were ticked. And they would get ticked with a foul. And it wasn't like they were joking around and laughing and everything like it didn't mean anything. They played like it meant something. And I love that. But why is the transfer portal opening up when all this is happening? When all this is going on? Because the early window is, I believe it ends April 22nd. So it's like March 24th to April 22nd there, I believe is the window. So you have this window that opens up and you want to get in there early because you don't want to get forgotten about. So these players have to get in early. So you have all these guys jumping in. You have these coaches who are down, like John Calipari said, he's got to prepare for a game. He's got to ask his guys if they want to stay or not, or if they're going to end up leaving. And then he's got to go recruit the transfer portal all in one day. That's wild. The transfer portal needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. We're going to talk a little bit more of this after the break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. We got a little bit more Badger talk to get to, and then we want to jump to the Packers here a little bit today because we got lots to get to. We'll be right back here on Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back. It's Wednesday, April 2nd. It's a fantastic Wednesday here in the great state of Wisconsin. And hey, it's always fantastic when you can make it down to Foreman's Hardware there. Foreman's Hardware offers everything from home essentials to farm supplies, house to farm, grills to drills. Foreman's Hardware has got you covered. Visit today in Loyal, Colby, or Medford, Wisconsin there. Tell them Trage sent you. Get 5% off. That's all you need to know. Loyal, Medford, or Colby, just tell them Trage sent you. You can get 5% off down there. That I can't name anything better. I can't name anything better than stopping down at Foreman's Hardware there. So get yourself down there here soon. So we went into the break, and I went on my little tangent about the transfer portal and everything else and not being able to trust players anymore. And it's the truth. It is the truth, and nobody can deny it at this point here. It's just the hardcore truth of college hoops. And that brings you to the point of, what's the point of high school recruiting, right? Because that's a big question I've been hearing. It's like, what the heck's the point of it? Why am I recruiting a high school kid like Daniel Freitag to come sit in Madison, and then he gets there and it's like, I picked up these guys in the transfer portal, and Daniel Freitag isn't as good as those guys, so why would I start Daniel Freitag? So I'm going to sit him on my bench. I want to develop him. Well, he doesn't want to sit there. And maybe he thinks that I'm better than that. And these coaches spited me because they told me that, you can come here and play, right? And, I didn't play, so I'm going to get upset. So I'm going to leave. What the heck's the point of it, right? I think there still is a point, right? I think there still is a point because at the end of the day, I still think you're going to get your filler guys. Your stars are going to show up. They're going to play. Right? Your stars are going to play. your Jack Janicki's, your, guys like that. Greppy, hopefully he develops into something next year there. Keenzer, who's coming in for the Badgers there. Hopefully, I think right away he could probably be. And I want to talk about that. I think next week we're going to talk a little bit more about, what I think the Badgers need to do with the transfer portal and that kind of thing. But Keenzer, I look at him and I'm like, this guy could come in and step in and be a scorer right away for Wisconsin. Is he going to be a huge contributor? Maybe not, but I think he can be a scorer for him there. But you still need guys to be the fill gap guys. You're not going to get stars, right, anymore that are going to sit. You're not going to have stars that want to sit, right? And I think a big thing, and I was listening to, I can't remember. I think it was it McInnes? I think it might have been McInnes' coach there was talking, I believe, and he was talking about, I think it was McInnes was talking there, and he's talking about, it was a mid-major coach. Let's go with that. It was a mid-major coach. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't want to quote the wrong guy there, but it was a mid-major coach. And he said, the thing with it is now mid-major teams can get a lot of the better recruits because the better recruits don't want to go sit at, Kentucky and not play. They don't want to go sit at Duke and not play. They don't want to go sit at these places and not play. They want to play. So they go to a team like McInnes, they go to a team like Norfolk State or wherever. They sit there for a year, they play basketball, they show their talents, and then because of the transfer portal now, they can just leave then. They can just jump in a transfer. So now mid-major teams are turning into like that breeding ground, right? Where they kind of build you up. They get these guys going and they get their feet wet in college. They develop them a little bit. They get them used to college ball, and then they ship them off to the big leagues, right? Then they ship them off to your Arkansas or your Kentuckys or your North Carolinas or Dukes or whoever. That's how it's going to go. And I could see that being the way, right? Because Wisconsin, I think they're going to answer a lot of you. I don't think you can answer it with recruiting anymore. Right, you're going to get guys like, I know, I'm going to say his name again, Cooper Flagg. You can get guys like Cooper Flagg. You can get guys like Con Knuppel, right? You can get freshmen who are instant impact guys. But nowadays, what would you rather have? I mean, it's an honest question, Aaron. What would you rather have? A 5-year guy, right? You can get a guy like John Tonje, right? You don't know what he is yet, but you can get a guy like John Tonje. I've been there, done that dude. Or you can get a freshman who is a good recruit. He's a 4-star like Daniel Freitag, but he's not fully developed. He's not ready, but he's there. Who are you going to take, right?
I'm taking the proven commodity, right?
It's pretty straightforward these days. Mm-hmm. So it's like the transfer portal's where you got to build your team. You're not building a team through recruiting anymore. Look at Kentucky. Look at Duke. Look at all these teams. They're grabbing transfers now. They're going after transfers. They're not just going after the freshmen anymore. Kentucky used to be like freshman central. It used to be 1 through 10 was freshmen. I remember that year Wisconsin played Kentucky, and they had a blue and a white team. And they would rotate 5 guys at a time. And they had 10 guys, and most of them were freshmen. And it was like, that's nuts. That's crazy that you have that many good freshmen on one basketball team. But that's not the case anymore. You don't have that. And I am interested to see how many of these young guys, the young recruits, right, the 4-stars and below probably, end up going to mid-major schools, building themselves up. Maybe not mid-major, right? But, mid-major, maybe lower end, high-level schools, right? Maybe some lower-end Big East teams or some, the Big Sky, I don't know, some of these lesser conferences, I guess. They go into those lesser teams, ball out there for a little while, and then get their time at the big leagues, right? It's going to be interesting to see how that landscape works. I think high school recruiting is still needed, but I don't think it's as important anymore. And I think it's kind of going to go away. I think it is. It's the importance of it for a basketball team. For a basketball team is going to kind of go away. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now. So I forgot to mention, goodness gracious, we're going to get out of the Badgers here, but I forgot to mention, we're on for 2 hours now. So just so you guys know, don't shut us off at the top of the hour. We're coming back at the top of the hour. So I just want to make sure that everybody out there knows that. Like, don't think we're on for an hour tonight here. We're on for 2 hours now. So just make sure you're sticking around there. But we're on for 2 hours. So we had to come up with some new segments. We're like, you got to have more segments. You got to have more fun during the show, right? We got our Mellow Yellow Minute. That'll be coming up here at the top of the hour. Getting towards the top of the hour. We got the Mellow Yellow Minute, Dad Joke of the Day after the top of the hour. But we got a new segment here. Best and worst of the week. So our best and worst of the week. My worst of the week Yankees versus Brewers. I think that has got to be just about every Wisconsin possible. I mean, you could probably say, if you went back to last week, you'd probably say Wisconsin versus BYU. Like, that'd probably be a worst of the week. But I'm going to have to go with Yankees Brewers as my worst of the week. I was so excited. I was like, oh my, like the Badgers lost. I got Brewer. Like, I wouldn't have cared as much about baseball if the Badgers were still playing. I said that point blank. I was like, I wouldn't care as much. But the Badgers are done. So I'm like, I'm done with it. Done with basketball. I'm on to baseball. And then I watched the start of this Brewers Yankees series, and I'm like, why did John Tanji have to miss that shot? Like, why did he have to miss it? I could still be watching Badger basketball right now here. 15 home runs for the Yankees, 26 runs scored, and 34 hits. Yeah, that's about as worst of the week as it could possibly get. I had the Bucks in general too. I put the Bucks in general just because the Bucks they are. Dame went out, and I know he got that blood clot in the leg, a deep vein thrombosis, and that sucked. Like, I want nothing but Damian Lillard to be healthy, and not just for basketball's sake, but Damian Lillard as a person. I want him to be good, and I want him to, because that's scary. Like, there's a lot of bad things that can happen from that. So, like, I want that to go away, and I hope that he can end up playing basketball again, because I know that's something that, he loves to do, right? That's his job, so he loves to do it. But the Bucks they look defeated. Like, they look like Giannis is still going out there and doing it, but everybody else looks like a deer in headlights, and they look like they're beat. Like that game against the Hawks last night, or I think that was a couple nights ago there. I watched that game. They look like they were just defeated that whole game. And you lost to the Hawks. You lost the game to the Knicks before that. You lost to the Nuggets before that. And you lost to the Suns before that. You are on this little streak now where it's like, it ain't getting easier. It's definitely not getting easier. And in the last, I was just looking at this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 9 losses in the last 13 games. That's not great. Not great right now for the Bucks. They're luckily still hanging on to a playoff spot at the moment. They're still, they were in the thick of things already, so they're still probably most likely, as long as they win at least 2 more games here, going to make the playoffs. But at this point, it's like, do I want to make the playoffs? Do I want to see this Bucks team in the playoffs? Like, it's depressing. This is depressing basketball here. Feel bad for Giannis because he's like going out there trying to do it all, and it's not there. It is not there. I look at the lineup, I look at what they got, and it's like, this is a disaster. So Bucks in general right now are one of my worst, I would say, at this very moment. One of my best. So I'll go to my 2 best here, and then I'll flip it over to Aaron for his best and worst of the week there. One of my best, I got Sal Frelick. Sal Frelick is one of my best of the week there. The guy's batting .429. He's batting .429. He's been unreal. He had a good series against the Yankees there. He was batting .500 when they left New York, and then they came and they played the Royals here. Sal Frelick's been fantastic for the Brewers. So I love what Sal Frelick's been doing. And Jake Bauer's pitching. Like, I was looking through all the pitchers. I told Aaron, I was like, there are 3 pitchers on the entire Brewers roster right now who haven't given up a run from the other day there when I was looking. And it was Jake Bauers, Brian Hudson, and Trevor McGill. Those were the 3 Brewers pitchers that haven't given up a run. And that was the other day when I was looking there. And it was, Jake Bauers, 2 games pitched in 2 innings. He has given up 2 hits. That's, in a season where they're sucking so far, that was a bright spot, I guess. That was a bright spot. So I got Jake Bauers, my best of the week there through that Yankees series, at least there, because he was pitching well, I guess. He was pitching well. So those are my best and worst there of the week. Aaron, what do we got best and worst of the week?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll start positive. We'll go Chicago White Sox of all teams, right? As we record this, 4 games played, 2-2. Going forward, they might not win another game. Excuse me. They might not win another series for a couple months. I seriously,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go, 2 months, 3 months. If you go back to last season, oh my goodness. And I saw they had a decent crowd for opening night at least, or opening day per se. But that organization is just in free fall. They're basically, it's like Oakland of last year as far as it's like a AAA team playing at the major league level. It's going to be a rough season. So, White Sox fans, at least through the first couple of games, you've had something to cheer about, and you've won some games. It could be worse. And then for the basically the bad, Rafael Devers, man. I mean, 0 for 19 with like 15 or 16 strikeouts on the season. Not the start he wanted. I mean, the guy hit 272 last season. So, not to say he can't climb out of this. He's a great hitter on a good team. I don't know. Maybe the whole Bregman bringing him in, because he was pretty upset about that. And like, he's not playing third base. Like, Bregman's playing third. He's DHing from what I've seen so far. So, I mean, maybe if Kyle listens to this, he'll kind of give us his thoughts on the Devers thing with him being such a Red Sox guy. But yeah, it's odd you see a guy, as accomplished as Devers start out that poorly, and he'll probably figure it out. But I mean, to climb out of 0 for 19 is tough. That's to get back to 250 is gonna be a mountain, and he can do it. It's just, wow, 0 for 19 is not great.
It's a mental game. It's a
It
mental
is.
game, and like you said there, I think we say it like it's a joke. Like, was it Bregman coming in that kind of ruined it for him? It could have been. Like, he's all upset about Bregman taking his spot, and now he's not playing the field. He can only do this. Maybe he didn't like that, and it's getting to him. It's getting to his psyche, and he's a good
Might
hitter.
be.
He's a darn good. Maybe he's just got to face Garrett Cole.
Maybe
third time around.
That's the thing. Yeah, he's gonna have to wait a whole season. He might. That
Right?
might
He's not going to hit. He's not going to get hit at all this year now. Like, that's just how it's going to be. He's not going to get a hit at all this season. Goodness. Oh, man. So, hey, I mean, wow. Best and worst of the week. I mean, does it get any worse than the Yankees-Brewers series? I got to be honest with you. I mean, I feel better when I saw the Braves lost their 4-game series to the Padres. I felt better. I was like, oh, well, that makes me feel a little bit better. The Braves are kind of stinking. And the last time the Brewers had like an 0-3 start or 0-4 start, I can't remember the stat completely off the top of my head. It was like 0-3 or 0-4. It was in 2011. And they ended up going to the NLCS. So I won the NL Central. I mean, there's a correlation somewhere in between there. Hey, we got more on the backside of this. I want to talk about Bucks for a second. And then we got Packers. We got all kinds of stuff to get to. So we'll be right back here on Wisconsin Sports on the Go. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back. It's Wednesday, April 2nd here in the great state of Wisconsin. They're talking snow. I mean, that's what else could you want? What else could you want around here than a little bit of snow and a little bit of that? That's the greatest stuff in the world there. But hey, if you are around the Greenwood area, or you are around central Wisconsin area, maybe you hurt yourself walking through this snow, whatever it was. You never know, right? It gets to be that dangerous time of the year where you slip on some ice. You never know what's going to happen. You might need some physical therapy. You got to call down to Chad there at Sport and Spine Clinic of Greenwood. Expert traditional physical therapy and structural integration programming. Call for flexible scheduling and evaluations. Just call 715-267-4583. That is 715-267-4583. See Chad down there. He'll get you right. He'll get you back to doing whatever you were doing, feeling better than ever down there. So see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic of Greenwood, Wisconsin there. Aaron, we got to get to, in this last little bit here before the top of the hour, we got to get to the Mellow Yellow Minute. We almost missed it, right? We almost missed the Mellow Yellow Minute. We can't miss that. So, hey, like I always tell everyone, if you're sitting at home, maybe you're in the car, wherever you are, maybe you're listening to us through your AirPods or whatever you got these days, and you got your favorite beverage by you. Make sure you crack that baby with me right now, right? We always crack our favorite beverage with us. I always got a Mellow Yellow, whatever you got. Hopefully it's fantastic with you. We got our Mellow Yellow Minute. So, Aaron, I'm going to give him the question, and he's got a minute, and he's got to guess the answer, right? So I got my top 3 cheeses, right? So my favorite cheeses. Trage's favorite cheese, the top 3 on the list. Aaron, what do we got? Top 3. No particular order. You don't have to get them right 1, 2, 3. But what do you got for my favorite top 3 cheeses?
Yeah, we'll throw something at the wall and see what sticks, right? Let's go. Let's go pepper jack right off the bat.
Got it, pepper jack. There it is. There it is. Number 2 on my list. Pepper
That's
jack.
my go-to at Subway too. Like it
just makes it. Quick Trip's got this new pretzel bun, pepper jack hamburger. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
How about cheddar? How about just good old cheddar?
Number 1. We'll put number 1 with cheddar. You can't go wrong with cheddar. There's so many different kinds of cheddar. You can't go wrong with it. We got it. Number 1 spot.
See, getting the first 2 out of the way, but then this number 3 is where I'm kind of scraping the bottom here. Man, Man. Provolone's nothing special. I don't think it's provolone.
Provolone's not special. That's too fancy of a cheese to just be a delicacy. It's not fancy. I'm not a fancy cheese guy.
Right. And like I know cheese curds are a type of like it's an assortment of
there's all
any type of
kinds
cheese.
of yeah. But cheese curds are number one. If we had to go type of, cheese curds is number one. Like that's the best out
there. What about Colby cheese? Colby
cheese is tied. It's tied for third. I got mozzarella. I got Colby. They're tied for third there. They're tied for third in there. No goat cheese. That stuff's disgusting. That stuff is absolutely disgusting. Blue cheese. It's like when you go and they're like, you want ranch or blue cheese with your, wings there? And I'm like, why you ask me for blue cheese? Like, take that somewhere else. All right. I'll take the ranch. I'll take the bottle. Bring it over.
Turn it sideways, right?
Or turn it sideways. I'm done with this. Done with this here. So we went into the break and we were talking about, I wanted to talk about the Bucks for a minute. I just want to talk about the Bucks for a minute because I this season for the Bucks, it's like the most uninterested I've been in the Bucks. And you guys know me. I'm not a huge NBA guy. I'll watch it. I like college basketball. My college basketball is my favorite thing in the world. But the NBA is like, I'll watch it, but it's not my forte. It's not my number one, right? But I was looking at the stat the other day. The Bucks are going to experience their worst season since 2017, 2018 this year. Win-wise, right? And I know 2020, 2021, it was a shortened season. They had 46 wins. We're going to call that's shortened season. Regularly, if you actually put it as an 82-game season, I saw they factored it in as like a 52-win season there. So it is going to be their worst season since 2017, 2018. You look back at that team, I was looking back at the roster a little bit there. You had guys like Eric Bledsoe on that team. You had, Jennings was on that team. Chris Middleton, younger Giannis, right? You had some young guys on that roster for the Bucks there. And, Tony Snell, I think he was on that roster there too. I'm looking back and it's like, that was not a good team, right? And when I look at this team here, you got Giannis, right? Dame's banged up. You can't keep anybody healthy on this roster. Brook Lopez, he's your... I would have never thought I would say Brook Lopez has been like the common, like been in there the whole time guy. I would not have said it, but Brook Lopez has been pretty darn consistent for this Milwaukee Bucks team where he's going to be out there pretty much night in and night out. And if he's not, something serious is going on with Brook because he's that kind of guy. And you like guys like that, but it's like at the same time, I'd love to keep Giannis on the floor. I'd love to keep a guy, like Dame on the floor. And so far, because I'm looking at it here, I was looking at the stats here, 73 games Brook Lopez has played in. 73 games Brook Lopez has played. That's majority. That's basically every single one of them. Giannis, 61 games. Dame has played in 58. Kyle Kuzma, recent addition, so that doesn't really count there. Bobby Portis has played 46. We know about the suspension, so you're going to get him back at some point there. Andre Jackson Jr. This is where my confusion is why Pat Connaughton is now ahead of Andre Jackson Jr. in this depth chart thing. The depth chart with Doc Rivers, and this is where I'm done with Doc Rivers. I don't know why we keep. Is it? Oh, Giannis is telling us this. Like Budenholzer took us to the finals. Budenholzer was not the problem. We sit here and we're like, Budenholzer was the problem. I love Giannis. I do. I love Giannis. Great guy. Love listening to him talk. He's a great family man, everything like that. Like you want to emulate the personality and that of Giannis onto yourself when you watch him at times. But I think Giannis has a lot to do with what's part of the problem, too, with Milwaukee. Because and this is the problem with professional sports, you give stars power. You give those stars power, you got to. Because otherwise they're like, well, you're not going to give me power here. I'll go get power somewhere else, right? They're power hungry. They want to have control over their team. They're the star. They want to have control. Okay, so we trade away Drew Holiday. How has that worked? I got to be honest with you. I've said it since the beginning. That was not a good trade. Damian, I like Dame. I do. I don't hate Damian Lillard. I don't want to sit out here and tell you like that was, Damian Lillard's the worst thing that's ever happened to Milwaukee. But Damian Lillard's not, he didn't take you over the top. He didn't. And Chris Middleton, I'm sorry, but you waited too long with trading him. What was that trade supposed to do now? Kyle Kuzma? That's what you did? Kyle Kuzma was supposed to fix this? No. And now look what you did. You don't have Middleton and you don't have Dame. You lost both of them now. I sit here and I watch this Bucks team. I try to tune in. Like I said, I'm not a huge NBA guy, but I'll watch it if I'm intrigued. If it's an interesting, like if the Bucks are playing well, I'll watch. I barely can flip on the TV for them right now. I'd rather watch the Brewers, and that stinks. Like the Brewers stink, and it's like, what am I supposed to watch right now? That's why it's so heartbreaking that the Badgers lost. It's like I was like, I'm gonna get over it with the Brewers. I'm not. I wish the Badgers were still playing because they gave me some good basketball. I'm watching this right now. And the way Doc uses his depth, the way he rotates players, the way that this team is, and the way they look defeated night in and night out on the court right now. Giannis looks like he's the only guy playing. I mean, Brooke plays, right? But outside of that, I mean, his team looks defeated. They just look like they don't care. They look like it's over. So, I mean, if anybody out there is like, what's your thoughts on the playoffs? Like, where's this team going to be going into the playoffs? First round exit. I got to be honest with you. Unless if even getting Dame back, I mean, you get Dame back, has he actually been like, okay, he can't practice right now. So when he comes back, he's on no practice. So you almost have a week before he can get back in the game or ready to go for a game, right? You can't just throw him to the Wolves. Bobby Portis has been out for a while. He can get back to practice here. But Bobby Portis coming back there too, he's going to be out. He's been out for a while. So you have two guys where you're like, yeah, when they come back, they're going to be rested and ready to go. But Dame, I mean, you're sitting here thinking, Dame, I don't know, right? Because those signs are good, right? But that can go different directions. A blood clot in the leg, that can go different directions. And you hope for the best, but you're not rushing it either. And Dame's not rushing it. He doesn't care. Like, those guys don't care. They and I wouldn't care, right? I want to be healthy. And this is a dangerous thing for Dame. It's not like it's just a little twisted ankle. It's not like it's a knee. It's a dangerous situation for him. Something that shut down Victor Wembanyama for an entire season. He's done. He's done for the year with his and his shoulder. Dame's trying to come back. They said there's good things coming out of camp and everything like that towards the situation. But I'm sitting here right now and I'm like, I don't think we're going to see. I don't know if we're going to see Dame again this year. And if we don't, I know Giannis is going to give it his all to try and take this Bucks team and get them over the hump, get them, into the playoffs. And they're going to make the playoffs, but then after that, what the heck's going to happen, right? Because they're on the verge of being in the play-in tournament now. And if you end up in the play-in tournament, which I don't want to say that they're going to end up there, right? I hope that they can spit off a couple wins here, end up, in a good spot there in a 6 or a 5 seed, whatever, right? I'm hoping they can get to that point and, maybe get Dame back, get Bobby back, get a little healthier heading into the playoffs. That'd be great. But I just don't know. And then when you get there, like I said, you're banking on guys who have been out for a little bit to come back and carry you. It works sometimes, but I don't know. I'm not going to put my faith in it, right? I'm not going to put my faith in it. And, everybody's talking. Well, I can't remember who it was. If it was, I can't remember who the heck was talking about it there. I think it was on Bill Michaels' show. Maybe I heard him talking about it there. Whoever he talks about with the Bucks there. I can't remember what that, his name is off the top of my head now. But he's talking about defense, right? He's talking about this Bucks team needs to play well defensively if they're going to be able to, avoid this little slide here. I look at the last few games. I mean, right as we're recording this, on Tuesday, as you guys know, we're pre-recording a little bit there. But as we're recording this, they're beating up on the Suns by 10 right now in the fourth. Hopefully they can hang on to that one. They hold them at 89 points, but you look outside of that, the Hawks put up 145, the Knicks put up 116, the Nuggets put up 127. Defensively, it's not going well. So that's the one thing you needed to help you get some wins here. If you can't control teams defensively, I don't know if offensively they got enough. So right now I'm nervous as a Bucks fan to see what's going to happen here moving forward for the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully Dame can come back. Hopefully, Bobby comes back ready to go. It's going to be interesting there. But hey, we got lots more to get to tonight. That's all I got for Bucks talk. I know I said a minute. It's like, holy crap, I rattled off the whole top of the hour here. We got at the top of the hour here, we're going to Packers talk because the NFL owners meetings was yesterday. We got a whole bunch of rule changes. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about. So we'll be back on the top side of this break here. We'll get to the Packers. Welcome back to the second hour of Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trades. I know. It's 2 hours now. 2 hours now. We told you we'd be back at the top of the hour. Here we are. And we are here with our dad joke of the day. So, Aaron, here's my dad joke of the day. All right?
I think I'm ready.
Here we go. I gave my handyman a to-do list, but he only did jobs 1, 3, and 5. Turns out he only does odd jobs. Funny. Funny. Funny one there.
You
Funny one there.
slap me.
Aaron, at the break, I had to get a new pen. Over here. Did you know it writes Packers? It writes
Does
other
it?
words too, but I wrote Packers. I'm
Ah,
just telling you, I
there
wrote
you go.
Packers. See, there's the dad joke. There's another dad joke.
Two for one today.
All over the place. All over the place there. But hey, this next segment, this Packers segment we got coming up, it's sponsored by Marshfield Motor Speedway, half-mile paved track just 3 miles west of Marshfield there on County Road H. Find upcoming events and races at marshfieldspeedway.com. That is marshfieldspeedway.com. They're great family fun for all ages. I am going to be down there this summer. I can guarantee it. Me and B-Dog, we're going to be down there. My boy, we're going to be down there. Guarantee. He's got to get the little earmuffs, though. It's a little loud. He's a couple weeks old. So got to get him the earmuffs. But him and I, we're going to be down there for probably about, 15 minutes until he's like, let's go. We're out. We're going to start crying. So we're out of here. But hey, we got lots to get to tonight here. This next hour, we got Packers talk. We got Brewer talk. So make sure you're sticking around. Make sure you guys are checking us out across social media. We're posting across there. You can text us. You can let us know what you think about all this kind of stuff we're talking about, the madness that we're talking about there. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. Just search us up on Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok. Just search Wisco Sports on the Go. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. Just search Wisco Sports on the Go with Trage. And if you want to email the show, you want to let us know what you're thinking via email, hit us up, wiscosportsonthego@gmail.com. That is wiscosportsonthego@gmail.com. Or you can shoot us a text. You want to let us know via text what you're thinking, 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914. There, you can find us across social media and let us know what you're thinking there, whatever you're thinking, when you're thinking it throughout the week, and we'll definitely talk about it here on the show. So we had one question come in. This came in from the Red Shed there via Twitter. Always great friend of the show over there. He's telling us that we got to be down at the draft. He's telling us get over to the draft there in Green Bay. He's like, you got to be there. I'm like, I'll try. I'll see what the wife says. I'll try. And it's like, maybe, possibly, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be crazy. I think the draft's going to be crazy in Green Bay. It's Green Bay. It's not like LA or anything like that. So parking's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be mad town. But it'd be something to see. It'd be definitely something to see. Maybe we can get some passes. I got to talk to my bosses, see maybe some passes. Maybe they're listening. They're like, you don't get passes. I don't know. I don't know there. But there was a question for the show here. He said, lots of talk about drafting edge rushers or cornerbacks early in this year's draft. Under Joel Barry, the narrative was Green Bay was overinvested in the defensive side. So many first rounders, so much talent, right? The big thing was all the time, why don't we get weapons for Aaron Rodgers? It was always, why don't we get weapons? Every year. Now it's, most of those guys are still here. Why has the narrative changed? Heck, they added the two best defenders last season in Adrian Cooper and Xavier McKinney. So there comes this question there is, why has that narrative changed? Since Jeff Hafley took over, why are we changed to the fact now where it's like, we don't really care anymore about the offensive side of the ball. We're like, we need to draft defense, right? We need to draft defense. I think I don't know, like there's two crowds for me. There's a crowd of people who are like, the Packers need to get a wide receiver. They need to get a weapon out there in the wide receiver room. They need to find this guy because they need to have weapons on the offensive side of the football. And I agree with that, right? Because we talked about it in, kind of our draft talk, our free agent talk. I said point blank, I said, you need a guy who demands the defense's respect, who when they look at the field, they see him, right? You got to have that guy where, corners, whatever, they kind of shade to his side of the field because they're like, that's that dominant guy. That's that long ball threat, right? That's that guy we have to watch out for. The Packers didn't have that guy last year. So I thought that was kind of a thing where the Packers needed to address. But then you look at the flip side of it and you're like, okay, the pass rush was not good. Now, the question is if the narrative has changed now, did people believe that the pass rush was better underneath of Joel Barry than it is underneath the Jeff Hafley? Did they have better guys? Like you're talking Zadarius Smith, you're talking some, Preston Smith, like average dudes. Like, did they think that the pass rush was better than the cornerback, the secondary? Did they think the secondary was better underneath the Joel Barry? Or has it been kind of the media's input, right? Because I notice a lot of times people like to jump on wagons, right? if one person on the radio, and I know New York media is a big thing for that too, one person in New York media says, well, Aaron Judge is doing this wrong. How many people you think you're going to see out on the street who are going to tell you, if you start talking about the Yankees and they listen to sports talk radio, they're going to tell you that same thing that he just said, right? He's going to, that same perspective he just gave them, they're going to be like, I'm going to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm going to go say what, whoever said this, I'm going to go say what he said to them. And they're gonna be like, "Oh wow, you know what you're talking about, right?" Because I heard him say that earlier. So it's like, oh, well now he's talking like him. Oh my goodness, like this guy knows what he's talking about. Sometimes that has a lot to do with it too. Media perception, right? Back then it was, well, Aaron Rodgers is the dog. They don't really need a good defense. They can score a lot, right? Nowadays it's like when I watched the Eagles last year, the Packers need more pass rush. Plain and simple. Like I watched the Eagles and I'm like, Saquon Barkley was fantastic. Jalen Hurts was, it was good. I don't want to say I hate hating on Jalen Hurts because I don't hate the guy. Like he's a solid dude, right? Solid dude. Like holy crap, like he can squat my house and then some. But like he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not this guy who's gonna take you over. He's not gonna win the game for you most of the time. Most of the time, it's gonna be a collective effort, and Jalen Hurts is there too. And that's just the way I see it. I think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. Is he a top 5 quarterback? I don't know. It depends. Like winning wise, yeah. Like he's a winner. He's a winner. Like that dude wins games. And I'm all for that. I want a quarterback that wins games, right? But if I was in the end of a game and I was like, I need this quarterback to drive me down the field and win it, I don't know if Jalen Hurts is that guy. Like I don't know. If I want stats, I don't know if Jalen Hurts is my guy. If I want touchdowns, I don't know if he's my guy. He's a collective effort guy. Is he going to contribute on a game-winning drive to take him down the field? Yeah. Like he can do it. I'm not saying he can't do it. But my belief is, I guess, when I look at it, is the Eagles did not win the Super Bowl because of the offense completely, right? Or the defense completely. I think it was a collective effort both ways. And I think that's kind of where the narrative's changed in Green Bay now is the pass rush stinks. The secondary, it got worse, so now it's exposed because the pass rush stinks, so the secondary looks even worse. And the offense had a drop problem with wide receivers. So now you're trying to answer all these questions because you had just about everything that could possibly go wrong with this team go wrong last year at some point. And now fans are trying to answer every single question in this offseason. I think there will be pieces that are already there that are going to fit the fold. I just don't think it's going to fix. You're not going to fix everything internally. I think you have to add pieces, right? I don't think that you're going to have the receiving core just figure it out, and you're going to have the pass rush. That room is just going to say, "Oh crap, year 3, let's go get them." Right? No, I don't see that happening. The secondary, I don't see the youth just all of a sudden, boom, taken off. Like not everything's going to happen that way. So I think you have to add. I just think that the narrative, I think, has changed because there's different perspective in on it now. And I think everybody is looking in different areas, and I think it's a split group narrative now. Aaron, I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, the narrative you've definitely heard, over the years, the Packers went from, well, we didn't get enough for Aaron Rodgers, right? We didn't get enough help for Aaron Rodgers, to now it's, well, Jordan Love's got enough help. We need to get this guy a pass rush. We need to get this on our defense. Where are you at with this Packers team right now? What are you thinking?
Is my thing is is the offense good enough? It's not one of those Cincinnati Bengals situations where they're putting up 40 a game and they're giving up 40 a game. I don't think the offense is as prolific as what the Bengals can give you, but their defense isn't as bad as what the Bengals. So you're kind of in that middle ground. The offense isn't bad. Would I say the offense is elite? No. Would I say the defense has holes? Yes. I think, like you said, I remember growing up, the BJ Raji's, the Clay Matthews, Green Bay had a stout defense. Not saying forever, but they had a window where it was okay, they're a pretty darn good defense. They're up there with the Steelers when the Steelers had a good defense, up there with the Ravens. They were at least talked about. Now, when's the last time you heard somebody talk about the Packers defense? It just doesn't happen, So not to say they're horrible, but they're just they are very easily just people forget about it. It's just they're an afterthought, which isn't great. So I think they do need to address the defense. We kind of clamored all offseason long to go go get Jordan Love like a pure number one. I still think they should have done that. Now, can they find that in the draft? If you hit on a draft pick, yeah. But defensively, like we talked about it too, like Max Crosby is out there. Now, you weren't going to give him the money that the Raiders just literally handed him, basically the franchise with the amount of money they gave him. But, if you could have there was a guy out of Tennessee, I forget his name. He still might be out there, but just somebody like, bona fide, like established defensive pressure, like an edge rusher. So I still think, like you said, I think they still need those type of things if they want to compete like at an Eagles level. I mean, the NFC is kind of open now. I would try to stack up now before like the Niners figure it out again, or like Detroit's kind of a question mark. So there is that window. It's just you have to add, like there's the way they are now. I just don't think they can, unless the Eagles get injured or like the Packers go on like a run, which can happen. I just where they're constructed now, I think they need work. Yes.
You need that guy on the defensive front who's going to he's going to be a game wrecker. But I think when you have that guy like a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby or a Bosa when he was like rolling, Joey Bosa, not so much Nick
TJ Watt,
TJ Watt, those kinds of guys. You have a guy like that, he demands a presence, and then other guys are able to, step up and be a guy, right? Rashawn Gary, I think part of his problem is Rashawn Gary, I think he's still good. I just think he doesn't have help. And when you don't have help, when nobody else can win a one-on-one, they can't get off their block, then you're looking at a guy like Rashawn Gary. You can double him all day long. You can double him all day long and twice on Sunday. I mean, that's just how it works. And if you don't have to worry about anybody else, who cares, right? When the Packers have to send the house just to get pressure, your secondary is going to be exposed. And then I don't care who you got back there. There is nobody in the NFL anymore. There is no Revis Island. There is no guys like that anymore. That's gone. That's the past, right? No guy in the second, no corner you're going to get now is going to constantly win one-on-ones like Revis did. It's a different kind of football now. You need guys who are just going to be able to defend for, like the Eagles. I mean, you look at them, it's like maybe 8 seconds, maybe 9 seconds at max before those guys are getting home. And even before that, they're getting pressure. The Packers, they got pressures at times, but the pressure, I see a fine line in pressure. And I talked about this once before in the show. There's a fine line in pressure. There's pressure of just making a quarterback step up. And then there's the pressure that the Eagles put on Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl where he's running for his life. There's the pressure where you got to move out of the pocket every single time that you drop back. And it's that kind of game. That's pressure. That is pressure to me. The Packers don't deliver that consistently. And I think that's where they need to address. And I think that's where they've failed so far here in the offseason to address that glaring problem. And we're going to keep coming back to it. And it doesn't matter how many, we say it. Bill Michaels will say it on his show there. Dan Gasper will say it over in Eau Claire. They're going to talk about it all day long. Like, hey, the Packers need to address this problem. I don't know why they haven't. And from what we're going to talk about, what Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur had to say a little bit, they have a lot of faith in what they have. And I love that guys have faith in the dudes that they drafted. I love that. But at what points do you just have to give up on that guy? Right. So let's get into that. We're going to get into that at the next break here. We're going to go to break. We're going to come back. I want to talk about Packers. We got Brian Gutekunst spoke to the media, Matt LaFleur. We're going to get to it all here. We'll be right back on Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back. It's Wednesday, April 2nd here in the great state of Wisconsin, or wherever you're tuning in tonight. Maybe you're tuning in on the app, at WOSQ app across wherever you're at tonight here. Hopefully you are having a great night wherever you are too. I know the Red Shed said he was traveling to Italy. So, I don't know. Maybe he's having some wine for us here while listening to the show. So tonight here, we got another segment here. What's grinding Trage's gears? Because there's always, you guys heard me yelling about Cooper Flagg and Duke earlier on tonight there. So, something's always grinding my gears. So what's grinding my gears as of late here? Aaron, I got to be honest with you. The number one thing that grinds my gears every single day is that I go into, let's just say like I walk into Subway or McDonald's or Chips, right? I love Chips here in central Wisconsin. Chips down there on the south side of Marshfield. And I go in there and I'm like, I'm going to try something different, right? I always tell myself that. I'm going to try something different. Go to Subway. Go to Chips there. I get the Champ burger every time at Chips. and I go to Subway and I'm like, I am going to go crazy with this sub, right? I'm going to go absolutely wild and get something crazy this time. Chicken bacon ranch. Every time, without fail. I walk in there, I'm like looking at the menu, I'm like, and then they ask you like, what do you want? And I'm like, oh shoot, chicken bacon ranch. Like, it's just like second nature. I'm like, I'm looking at this and I tell you something else. So that is what's grinding my gears. Is I go into fast food restaurants and I never can order anything but the same thing every time, because it's like it's instilled in my head that when I go to McDonald's, I have to get 2 cheeseburgers and 10-piece chicken McNugget. That's it. Like, that's what I get every single time. I can't order anything else. I get the same stinking thing. It drives me nuts. Somebody, when they go get me fast food, get me something weird so that way I can just get over this hump. Because now it's the same thing.
for next week's show, I think like you have to report back here with it doesn't matter where you go, Subway, McDonald's, chips, like you said, Arby's. I don't care. I don't know if you probably have Arby's.
We got Arby's. But the same thing, I get the 1 pound beef and cheddar every single time. It's like, I know without fail. I look at the menu and I'm like, whoa, that looks crazy this time.
You owe it to the radio. If you're not doing it for yourself, you owe it to the radio listeners. You got to try something different.
I'm gonna get something,
and you got to tell us how it is. It won't be as good though. I can almost.
My gut is just gonna hurt after.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm gonna get, but I'm gonna like get something random, and it's gonna be like, nope, body doesn't agree with this one. Should have stuck with the 2 cheeseburgers. Now you got this, and body don't agree. So
but now
that's
you did
grinding.
Now you got it out of the way. There you go.
So that's grinding my gears right now. Also, that Girl Scout cookies are not available 365 days out of the year. That drives me nuts. What's your
go-to there?
I want to go locally down to my festival and just buy cookies all the time. And I know that one time you go down there and they con you into it. They do. Because they put this, this little kid out there, and it's like they put the cutest kid out there, and they're just like, they want you to like buy the cookies. So that's what they do. They put this little kid out there and they're like, hey, do you want to buy some cookies? And you're like, stay strong. And you're like walking past like tense, like you're just clenching, you're sweating. You're just like, I need those cookies. And then you end up buying the cookies. And you forget what you went to the grocery store for. You get home, your wife yells at you because you didn't get the right things, because you have a load of cookies. The whole back of the car is full of cookies, and you got like 1 thing of mayonnaise, and you forgot that you weren't even supposed to go get mayonnaise. So, I mean, that's a whole mess. It's a whole nother mess of things. But I'm telling you right now that I just want Girl Scout cookies 365 days out of the year. And I don't know who would complain about that, but if you are going to complain about that, I'm going to complain about you. So, yeah.
What's your favorite there? What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
What's those coconut? The coconut with the chocolate drizzle on them. The car. Oh my goodness gracious! I could sit. My problem is I could sit down and I crack them things open, and it's just like, oh, I got to unbutton my pants. Like, I just got to just unbutton the pants, sit down, kick the feet up. And then it's just box after box after box. Like, if you don't take it away from me, I'm going to ruin my dinner. Like, that's how I'm going to do it right there. I don't eat so many cookies that I'm going to put myself into a nap. Like, that's just how it goes every single time. I'm like, I got to walk away from you because I can't. I just can't even look at you right now. Oh, man. So, yeah, those coconut ones. Oh, goodness gracious. I didn't know they were coconut at first. I didn't really like coconut until I had those cookies.
Yes.
This is like, oh my goodness. Oh man. So that's enough about cookies. That's enough about cookies for the night. Even though now I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had some Girl Scout cookies. This is what we do to ourselves, right? This is what we do to ourselves. Girl Scouts of America, let us have cookies 365 days out of the year and make them a little bit cheaper so I can stock them up.
Even better, sponsor the show. Sponsor the show. Make it happen.
Sponsor us. We will vouch for you. We will raise so much money you won't even know what to do with all that money. You won't even know what to do with it. You'll be like, what do we do with it? And I'll be like, I don't know. Buy more cookies. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. So right now the Packers, they're not buying cookies, but they're talking to the media down at the NFL owners meetings right now. We heard from a little bit from Brian Gutekunst. That was 2 days ago. And we heard from Matt LaFleur yesterday there. So I want to get to a little bit of what we heard from those two. And I mean, basically from Goody, what we saw, Elton Jenkins, he's going to move to center. We know that already. So that was going to be the talk. It's like, what are they going to do? They got, Banks came in, and he also talked about Banks there a little bit. His athleticism separates him as a left guard there. So he's, gave huge props to what they got with Aaron Banks there. But there was a big question. What were they going to do at center, right? Who are they going to slide over? We thought there was going to be Elton Jenkins, but we were still like, what are they going to do? Who knows yet? Well, we got our answer. Brian Gutekunst says, as right now, Elton Jenkins is going to play center. Aaron Banks is going to be at that guard spot there. So you love to see that. The Packers had their eyes on Nate Hobbs for a while. Looks like, more specifically, it was Packers director of pro personnel, Richmond Williams, he loved Hobbs. He loved Hobbs there in his 4th season in Las Vegas. Played a lot of nickel cornerback for the Raiders, but the Packers feel like with his size and his speed, he can play in the perimeter too a little bit. So they're interested in having him. His versatility is what really stuck out to Brian Gutekunst there. He loves his versatility and can't wait to see Nate Hobbs. They've had their eye, like I said, they've had their eye on him for a very long time. So I love to see that there. Mecole Hardman, he talked about him a little bit there. Definitely in the conversation to return kickoffs and punts. I believe he was a punt returner. He has more experience in the punt return game, but he can be a kick returner. He's just been more of a punt returner for him there. I got to be honest with you, I didn't see it really any other way. I don't know why that was a question. I really thought that the big reason why they brought in Hardman was for kick returns and was for punt returns. I thought that was a big reason because Keyshawn Nixon said he didn't really want to do it. And Jaden Reed, I don't want to get Jaden Reed hurt returning punts. So if I can get a guy who can just do it for me, who's a little more experienced and does it well, I'm good with that. And right now, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but the NFL had a rule change about the kickoffs to, push it out to the 35-yard line for touchbacks. So I believe there's going to be a lot more kick returns this season too. So we're going to see a lot more opportunities. I'd love to see Hardman back there with his skill set be able to return some kicks. So we'll see what happens there. Brandon McManus was essential for Green Bay to get back. We talked about that. We said you got to have the kicking game figured out because if you don't have that figured out, you have nothing figured out. A kicker is actually their top priority. And they're very few and far between finding a good one. We know that. That's what we saw with the Packers. They got Brandon McManus back there. Jordan Morgan, he's going to continue to work at guard and tackle. So they're working on Jordan Morgan with his versatility. The young fellow there got hurt last season. They're going to work with him with that versatility a little bit there. Green Bay, they talked about their urgency a little bit there. And Brian Gutekunst went into that. He talked about, everybody's talking about the Packers, Brian Gutekunst said urgency. And they're kind of confused on what that means. They went out and got 2 guys, Nate Hobbs, Aaron Banks. What did that mean by urgency and not really going after the wide receivers they thought, going after this? And, he basically said, it's not just going after new guys. It's about the guys in the room, too. And he made that comment about urgency. It's about the guys in the room. It's about him. It's about Matt LaFleur. It's about, the defense. It's about the players that are already there. It's not as much about we have to go get all these guys. That's the urgency part. It's about guys in the room stepping up and filling those roles. So that was part of his urgency comment that I saw there. Outside of that, he just kind of, talked about Packers aren't counting out Christian Watson. He still believes that Christian Watson is going to have an impact at some point there in this next season, just a matter of when. And then he kind of talked about, with or without the draft, the Packers feel they have the pass rushers they need to take a step forward in 2025. So he talked about the pass rush like I talked about before there. He believes that they have some guys in the room right now. They are still going to probably look out elsewhere, right? But he believes that they have the guys in the room. He also spoke on Jair Alexander a little bit there. And Jair at this point here, he's just like, if he's here, he's here. We're in the works with them right now. And if they're going to make a trade, they'd love for the trade to happen before the NFL draft, but that's a perfect world. This isn't a perfect world. So we'll see what kind of happens there. We'll see. Maybe he gets traded during the draft, right? Maybe they get a phone call in the first round that somebody says, we'll trade you this pick and Jair Alexander for this guy. And it's like, okay, let's do that deal. So we'll wait and see what kind of happens there with Jair, but definitely still on the table for him to be traded there. So that's kind of what Brian Gutekunst had to say. Matt LaFleur, he kind of just echoed the same thing with Nate Hobbs, talking about his versatility, loves his versatility, what they're going to be able to do with him on the defensive side of the ball there. They're trying to find a great usage for Tucker Kraft. When Tuck gets the ball, usually good things happen. LaFleur said he's a powerful dude. He runs extremely hard. I love how he finishes. One thing I think he's got to learn just in terms of when he does finish is he doesn't try to take somebody's head off every time. He gets a little out of control at times. I think that's a balance, but the mentality is exactly what you want. So he's talking about Tucker Kraft there and his, best attribute going into this next season, his aggression. And that's what also makes him a little susceptible to injury. So he's got to find that happy medium in this next season here to keep himself available, keep himself out of harm's way, but also get things done on the field. So he's kind of looking at Tucker Kraft there. Also, he talked about the Packers and their drops last year. And he said, we had a ton of drops, and that's an area that we have to clean up. A lot of things happen. There's a lot of variables, but I think we've got a pretty good plan going into next season. That is what I want to see fixed. Because if you fix the drop problem for the Green Bay Packers, you might look back at that number one wide receiver need and say, well, we maybe could still use one, but you clean up the drop problem, that cleans up 3/4 of the problem. Like, that's a big fix. If they can find a way, like Matt LaFleur is saying, I love that. They finished tied for third most drops, 33 last season. You take away the drops from last year, it's a whole different ball club we're talking about. It's a whole different team we're talking about there, and probably a whole different ending to the season that we're talking about for the Green Bay Packers. That could be the difference between a couple wins and avoiding Philadelphia. So that's a big difference. So we'll wait and see what kind of happens there with this Packers team. Hopefully they take that step forward. Like he said, talked about Jordan Love. He said he doesn't expect any lingering issues with that knee. That's good news. That's great news with Jordan Love, because if Jordan Love does not have mobility, if he doesn't have the ability to escape the pocket, get out and run a little bit, takes away from like half of his game. So you split literally what Jordan Love is in half. Not good. So love to hear that out of Matt LaFleur there. The Packers are looking forward to a second season of Malik Willis at QB2. So Malik Willis is sticking around. That's all we need to know. Malik Willis is sticking around there for the Green Bay Packers. The Packers expect Jordan Morgan to push for a starting job this offseason. So to answer kind of what Brian Gutekunst had to say there, he said we're going to see him at guard and tackle a little bit. They're working around. Packers, according to Matt LaFleur, it's going to be a great competition. He said him and Sheed are going to battle it out and hopefully push each other to make each other better. That's what you want. That's what you want. Two guys battling for a starting spot at the NFL level. That's what you want. That's what's going to make you better. So I can't wait to see that there. And depth is huge. Depth is huge with the Green Bay Packers. We saw that against the Eagles there. Looking at some of the other things, he talked about Luke Getsy and his new ideas that he's going to bring to the offensive mix. Love to see that, right? Luke Getsy coming back in. Hopefully he does bring a different kind of mindset to the Green Bay Packers. That's something that definitely could alter this team, is the mindset going into games. So that could be a definite huge boost there, especially on the offensive side of the football there. And then he also talked about DeMarcus Covington's experience as a defensive coordinator. So Covington replaced the old defensive line coach there. So he's coming in to replace him there. He served as defensive coordinator for the Patriots last year. And that's a good thing to have too. A guy that Jeff Hafley can kind of bounce ideas off there, have a guy who's experienced in the room, been there, done that. On the AFC side, he might have a few things to help out Jeff Hafley there. So that's huge. That's a great thing to hear there. So DeMarcus Covington experience was something that Matt LaFleur loved there for this Packers team. So we got a little bit more to get to with the NFL. I want to talk about these rule changes when we come back. We got Brewer Talk to wrap us up for the day. Can't wait to get to it. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes. Welcome back to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back April 2nd here in the great state of Wisconsin, or wherever you are tuning in tonight. And like I always tell you guys, we got another sponsor here. We got a sponsor that we want to read off here before we get to our next little topic. And that is Foreman's Hardware. Offers everything from home essentials to farm supplies, house to farm, grills to drills. Foreman's Hardware has got you covered. Visit today in Loyal, Colby, or Medford, Wisconsin. There, tell them Trage sent you. You can get 5% off. Just tell them Trage sent you at any one of those locations. You can get 5% off. I can't think of anything better than 5% off on a drill, grill, whatever you want. 5% off. That's great. So get down to Foreman's Hardware there at any one of those locations there. So I got to get to, before we get to our NFL rule changes, I want to get to my overreaction of the week, because we're going to have an overreaction of the week. I got to have something, like I grind my gears. Something's grinding my gears every week. Something I'm freaking out about every single week, right? I got to have something freaking out about. My overreaction of the week is essentially that, the Brewers season is over before it even started. That's going to be my overreaction of the week, because And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's everybody's reaction right now. Oh my goodness gracious! If I gotta, everybody, it's literally everybody. I go to Lockdown Brewers, bam, over, seeing over. Right, the one guy who's actually somewhat subtle right now is Bill. I love Bill Michaels, and right now I tuned in today, and I told my coworker I was like, Bill is gonna be hot. They're 0-4 right now. He's going to light it up into him. He's going to be the one that's, yelling and screaming and everything. And I think he said it point blank. He's like, they're 4 games in. It's okay. We're okay yet. And I was like, wow, I can't believe the guy himself just like subtly gave me that answer. I couldn't believe it. So, I mean, that was something. So my overreaction of the week will be the Brewers season is just done. It's just done. Goodness. Done. Over. OVER over. Right? That's my overreaction of the week there. So we want to get to the NFL rule changes, then we'll jump back to the Brewers. We want to get to the NFL rule changes here real quick because there's some interesting ones on the docket. So the number one was going to be, right, the tush push. We were going to, talk about that tush push there. The tush push kind of, went away, right? 16-16 vote there of the NFL owners. So you have to have 24 votes for the whatever to pass, the rule to pass. It was 16-16 there. It was an even split. So basically it just kind of, we'll wait and vote again later, right? We'll wait and vote again later. I think for some reason in my head, I think there's more guys sitting on the we shouldn't ban it side who are kind of like, we should ban it, but I don't want to say it, right? I think that's where they're at. They don't want to be the guys to say it. I don't think there's anybody out there there's probably some owners who are probably like, oh, I don't care. Like Mike Vrabel, who says, like, oh, well, you got to stop Lamar Jackson. You got to stop other plays. So what's wrong with it? This whole play, this whole concept is different. And we talked about that, about the differences of some of this kind of stuff. But I look at it, it's like it's the only play in football where you can put direct hands on a guy and you can put like 500 pounds of pressure behind a guy and go straight forward. And I take the player safety thing out the window. I get, they're precautionary. Sure. Like it looks like a play that could get guys hurt. I would agree with that. It looks like a play. Has it? No. So I don't take that excuse for it. I just think you can't stop it. It's kind of one of those plays that's like a guaranteed couple yards because you got like 500 pounds of push behind a guy like Jalen Hurts already. So that definitely gives you a little bit of a boost there. I just think it's more of the fact of there's no other play in football where you can put hands directly on a guy. I think they got to clean that up. Or they got to let other things go. One of the two. Right? They got to and everybody's like, well, the Packers did that, Tucker Kraft sneak and they had some guys come up behind him. So why are they the ones complaining, right? That's the thing. If it gets banned for the Eagles, it gets banned for the Packers too. So it's like, they don't care. They just want to see, I guess you would say the rules followed, right? That's where and that's where I'm kind of at with it, is that if they ban it, I want it to be because it's not according to the rules of football. I want him to look into the rule book and say this doesn't go along with it. Just like I want college basketball to look at the 3-second rule in the lane, because Zach Edey, I remember Zach Edey from last year there, NCAA. He stood in the lane for like 15 minutes. He never left the paint. And all of a sudden it was like, well, what happened to the 3-second call? And then travel calls just went away this last season. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I just want leagues to follow their own rules. You make a rule, follow it. The NBA, what's a travel? I don't know what a travel is anymore. Like, it's just like,
no one knows.
I don't even know, right? Yeah. I don't even know, but I just want leagues to follow their rules. So the tush push, we're not banning it yet. We're not banning it yet. They'll wait maybe when the meeting happens next there in May. That one's going to be in Minnesota, I believe. When that meeting happens, maybe the next league meeting, they ban it. I don't know. They'll have another vote then. The interesting ones. Overtime change coming for the regular season. So they basically, I kind of like this. Both teams are going to get the ball. I think that's how it should be. I don't know. Everybody's like, well, you got to be better than that. You got to be better than that. When Patrick Mahomes is hot and he gets the football in a game, he's not going to lose. And if he gets the ball first in overtime, we saw it with Baker Mayfield when he lost that coin toss to Patrick Mahomes and he just threw his arms up like crap. Like, we're not going to touch the football. And, you hate to see a game end and you don't have a guy with an opportunity, right? Like that playoff game, I think it was it the Bills and the Chiefs when they had that playoff game? And I think one of them wasn't even able to possess the ball. And it's like, how can you let a game end like that? Like, that sucks. That would absolutely suck. You look at a team like the Bengals.
how are they going to win an overtime game with the defense they got? Like they ain't gonna win nothing. Their offense will win them that game. So it's like I just look at it. I'm like, I want both teams to possess the ball. So I'm okay with that rule change there. Aaron, what do you think of that rule change?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I've always thought like give both teams a chance to get the ball. Like I think college it's always been that way, and it's no kickoffs, which I like too because okay, same argument can be made, right? Because on the flip side, okay, you have a defense, but like if somebody runs a kick, like I give them credit, yes, their blockers got in the way and did their job. The guy, maybe took a spin move and took it to the house, but like just neutral. Put the ball wherever it's going to be 25, 30, 35. I don't care. Just both teams get the ball. Both teams get a chance. Yeah, that's for both fan bases in the game. That's what you want to see. I think I've always thought that way.
I agree 100%. You want both teams to possess the ball. It makes for more interesting football. And then after it, if it still ends up a tie, it ends up in a tie. Like, whatever. I don't care about that. But I love the ability of both teams to get the ball. We talked about the touchback rule a little bit there. They're going to be moving that out to the 35-yard line. Again, just trying to get more of a kickoff return rate. They want guys to return the football. I get it. I really don't care, but I get it. That's what they want to do.
Soon it'll be the 40, though, right? It's like, my God.
At what point is it going to be, when are we going to move the kicker back? Like at some point, I would think move the kicker back and just allow. That's what I would do. I just don't understand. We keep moving. We keep giving him more yards. Just move the kicker back. Like see if he can kick it. If he kicks it from his own 20 and puts her through the end zone, crap. Like
give him a point or something at that point. Like right? Come on,
I drug test this guy. Like he's just got a boot then at that point. Like I don't know. That's kind of where I would do. A couple more interesting ones. The replay assist can now help on even more penalties. So they approved the expansion of replay assist. 5 new penalties can now be overturned by the booth: hitting a defenseless player, a face mask, horse collar tackle, tripping, and roughing running into the kicker. I like that. We replay everything else, replay that, because I don't like the Vikings. But that play that they had against the Rams, I think it was the Rams, where Darnold got like just completely head turned sideways in the end zone and there was nothing. I like the ability of the, we replay everything else. You might as well replay this. I've always said when I watch a plays and it's like, they can't review that. Why? Why can't they review that? They review this. Why can't they review that?
They pick and choose we can't review that. Yeah.
I agree. It's silly. So I like that rule there that they're kind of cracking down on that kind of stuff. And then first downs are going to be measured electronically. So the chain gang is going extinct. They're going away. So that kind of sucks, whatever, we're just going to fire off our chain gang now. What are they going to do with all them chains? Like, can I have one? Like, real talk? Can we, have one? Like, can we put one? I can put one down in the studio here. I don't know where. I can measure my studio and see how long it is, see if we can fit 10 in here. But,
for 25,000, you can have one.
That's what they would do too. The Packers are going to sell it for like 25,000 or something. They'll be like, "You want to keep Jordan Love? This is what you got to do. You got to pay for this chain gang crap here." So those are some of the rules that they had. There was the interesting one, and we're not going to get to them much today because I want to get to the Brewers here. But they talked about the proposal to change the playoff format, which we had kind of talked about here on the show a few weeks back. If you want to listen to it, go back on the podcast there and definitely listen in. Just search Wisconsin Sports on the Go Trade. You can find the podcast there wherever you get podcasts. But we talked about that playoff change. We talked about it because we thought it was silly that the Vikings were like 14-3 and they had to go on the road as a 5 seed. And they had to basically on the road for the entire playoffs if they would have made it. And it's like, why do you penalize a team for being in a good division, right? Because at one point, the Packers could have finished with a great record, and they didn't, right? But they could have. And the Vikings could have been great, and the Lions could have been a great 1, 2, 3. But 2 of those teams were going to be 5 and 6, which would have been ridiculous to have a 6 seed who's better than a 3 seed, yet they have to go play them on the road. So it's like, you don't like that. You don't like that format. I said it point blank. I said, I want to see the NFL make it so you don't always award a team just for winning a division for getting a top seed in a home game. You give them a playoff spot, but you don't necessarily give them a home game. That's where I was kind of at on it. They were not so keen on it at the owners meeting, but it's going to get, they've tabled it, right? It wasn't like it was shot down. They just tabled it, said, we'll rediscuss this thing in May there. So it could get approved then. So they're talking about this again in May. So we'll kind of see what happens there at the next owners meeting there to see what happens. I'm interested in that one because I would love that change. I hate the AFC South and the NFC South. Those two divisions.
Yep.
You have a team that's got like 9 wins and they get a seed that's higher than a 14-win team coming out of the NFC North. That's no, I'm done. That's so stupid. It's not even funny. Be better. Just because you can beat up your division does not make you better than the NFC North team that's 14-3. And you don't deserve a home game in the playoffs. You deserve a home game in the playoffs when you're 14-3. I don't care if you have multiple teams in the NFC North who get 1 through 4 seeds because they're just that darn good that year. That's just how it's got to be. That's just how it has to be. You can't penalize a team for being good just in a good division. So that's kind of where I'm at with that whole thing. So we'll kind of see what happens there. But Aaron, the Brewers. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off, right? Right? Gone. Band-Aid off. The Brewers got a win last night. That was exciting, right? Everybody, come on now. Come on. You got to, everybody cheer. Everybody just
shout out at that, yeah.
Hey, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. That's what it feels like to win again. Oh my goodness. I did say though, the last time the Brewers went 0-4 to start a season, it was 2011. They went to the NLCS. Just remember that. It was a bad start to a year. They went on. There's been a lot of teams who have started out terrible and end up doing good, right? So maybe, just maybe, the Brewers are going back to the NLCS. We can hope, right? Not with this pitching staff, but we can hope that potentially, maybe, once they get healthy. That's the biggest thing. And people just drive me nuts because everybody's sitting here and they're like, oh, this guy sucks, right? This guy sucks. I know you were talking about, they're talking on Locked On Brewers podcast there. They were talking about Rodriguez there. Why was Rodriguez pitching? This guy should never be pitching, blah, blah, blah. He gave up 4 runs. He gave up 4 runs, 4 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 strikeouts, 1 home run given up, 64 pitches. If you think that Alvin Rodriguez was the reason why the Brewers lost that game, 4 runs in today's MLB is nothing. Nothing. 4 runs is it? You're going to blame Alvin Rodriguez for that loss? Get out of here. Get out of here with that. Maybe blame Paguero, who gave up 4 runs when he came in relief. Because a 4-0 lead, that's not daunting. But an 8-0 lead, that's daunting.
Yeah,
that's over. That's done. And your offense made Bubik look like he was the greatest pitcher in the world that day. So I want to get more into this.
Great name, though. Great name on there.
Exactly. Bubik's a great name. I want to get more into this Brewer talk. I want to get more to the Brewers, more into this, what I was just talking about there when we come back from the break here. So we'll be right back on the backside of this break here. Welcome back in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We went to the break. We were talking about the Brewers and this pitching staff because this pitching staff so far has been kind of terrible. Let's just go with terrible. That's about as good as I can sugarcoat it, right? You go out to Yankee Stadium there, you give up 15 home runs, 26 runs, and 34 hits. That's terrible. You come back home for game 1 against the Royals, you give up 11 runs. And, like I was mentioning before the break, it's like you hear these guys and they're like, oh, well, Evan Rodriguez, why is he even pitching? Why is he pitching? There's nobody left. I don't know what – there's nobody left. There is nobody. I know they're like, everybody's going to be like, well – look down in the mud. There's got to be somebody. If there was somebody, don't you think the Brewers would have threw somebody else? You don't think they're just like, Pat Murphy pulled out his notepad, right? And he's like, this guy's good. This guy's good. This guy's good. Okay. I got down to the 15th page and I see Alvin Rodriguez and I'm like, that's the guy I want to throw.
He looks at a piece of paper. He's like, that guy.
Yeah, he's just sitting there with a blindfold on, shooting a Nerf gun across the room at a board, and he's like, wherever it hits, that's the guy who's pitching. Are you serious right now? Some people, I get you want to freak out about a guy, I don't think Alvin, just Rodriguez, I don't think he should be pitching either. To be honest with you, I don't think Alvin Rodriguez should be pitching either.
He was pitching in Japan last year?
Yeah, I don't think he should be pitching either. But he wouldn't be if the entire pitching staff wasn't out. At one point, you got to look at it. When you looked at the spring training, where were we at? Freddie Peralta, Nestor Cortez, Tobias Myers, DL Hall, Aaron Ashby, Aaron Savali. Those are all your guys. Then Myers goes down. Then Hall goes down. Then Ashby goes down. Now Savali's out. And Quintana, who we signed up, and I can't wait to see him. He's got to ramp up before he can come back. And you're already missing Woody. You're getting some good news out of these guys. I was going to mention that a little bit later here, but you are getting some good news, right? Woody's throwing a simulated game. They're expecting a rehab assignment soon. Nick Mears is on a rehab assignment. Tobias Myers is throwing simulated game. So, like, all these guys are, and I believe Savali threw today. So all these guys are slowly working their way back, but we're going to have guys like this pitching for now. Like, this is it. This is the guys you're going to get. Who are you going to go get? Like, I've looked out there. I've looked, and I looked at who's left, right? Because I want to see. I was like, I'm interested. Who is available to be signed as a free agent yet? You want Rich Hill? He's 45 years old. I think he can throw 80 miles per hour yet. You want him? He's still out there. You don't want that, right? You don't want a guy like, you got James Paxton. He's 36. Alex Woods, 34. I think maybe he signed up already. Lance Lynn retired. So the only guy I saw that's left is Spencer Turnbull. I would take Spencer Turnbull. To be honest with you, I'd take him. Like, I don't know if the Brewers, I don't know why but the thing with it is like, these guys haven't pitched yet. So if you call Spencer Turnbull right now, which I would still do anyways, like that's besides the point. I would still do that. But if you call him, you don't get him tomorrow. He's not ready next week. He's going to be probably a couple weeks before he's ready to go. So it's like, what do you do now, right? I would still, like I said, I would still go get Spencer Turnbull. That's no doubt in my mind. Like, I am going to pick him up and say, dude, do you want a year? Do you want to come pitch for us for a year, 2 years, whatever? I'm going to get him before anybody else does, because somebody's going to pick him up. He had a fantastic year last year and with the Phillies, and he's been good. He's been solid.
He's the only knock on him is injuries. That's
injuries are, yeah. I think that's the only reason probably why he's still out there.
Yep.
I think that's probably the one, because 2.65 ERA last year with the Phillies in 17 games, 7 starts. That's pretty darn good. That's pretty darn good. Like, solid. Like, better than what you got. Better than Elvin Rodriguez. But at this point, like I said, you're not going to be able to bring in a guy who's going to fill in tomorrow, and it's not going to be next week, and it's probably going to be a couple weeks, right? You got to figure out the contract first. You got to get him down to Arizona. You got to let him pitch down there. He's got to pitch simulated games. He's got to ramp up like Quintana is right now. So you're going to basically put him on the same timetable as Quintana's on right now. So you'd probably say he'd be available maybe towards the end of April, which then you're getting to the point where Aaron Savali's coming back. You're getting to the point where this, you're going to have possibly Tobias Myers. You're going to possibly have a guy like Brandon Woodruff coming back. You're going to have Quintana back, right? So then it's like, okay, well, where are you going to find your happy medium? I'm still all in for signing Spencer Turnbull, but I'm just like, nobody you're going to go get right now is going to be ready to go. They're not ready to go right now. I saw more people talking about Trevor Bauer again. I'm like, everybody's back on the Trevor Bauer train. And it's like, well, at this point, why not? Screw it. We got Elvin Rodriguez. Might as well pitch Trevor Bauer. See what happens. I don't know. It's like you're not going to find somebody at this point to come in and fix the rotation. Right now, you got to survive with what you got. Until everybody comes back, which you're hoping everybody comes back, they come back healthy, right? Knock on wood, they come back healthy, they're ready to go, they're healthy, they're feeling good. You just have to survive. You have to survive April. That's where we're at. I don't know how, just like last night there, they got that win. Chad Patrick, I don't know whoever would have had, did you have that in your bingo card that Chad Patrick was going to pitch the Brewers' first scoreless first inning of all season long? No. I didn't think it would take 5 games for the Brewers not to give up a run in the first inning. I thought they were going to give up a home run in every first inning of every game after the first 2 of the Yankees. So I'm surprised that it took this long for them to have a scoreless inning. But they shut out the Royals. It was a dominant pitching effort by the Milwaukee Brewers in this second game of the series against the Royals. So I love that. I love that effort that Chad Patrick was able to give to the Brewers. But now, his first start too. So that was fantastic. Like the young fella just coming up from the minors this season and delivering in a moment. You needed that. Because Freddie didn't give you a great outing. Cortez definitely didn't. Savali didn't. And then Elvin Rodriguez didn't. So it's like the bullpen needed a day off. They needed you to avoid them. And Chad Patrick, he did that. He helped avoid that bullpen. 4 2/3, 3 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Love to see it. Great outing. And then Koenig, Uribe, Payams, and McGill, boom, slam the door. Done with it. That's your combo. And if you can get to that point, you're golden. That was a great outing, a great game. Brewers hitting got going. Contreras is still kind of a dud in the middle of that lineup right now. I don't know what the heck's going on with him, but Contreras is kind of a dud. Chourio finally got himself in. Yelich hit a bomb. That was good to see. Yelich hit a bomb, but he finally got a hit. He's up to 125 in that batting average. Him and Contreras both batting $125.
Hase, man. Hase got it going.
Haas got it going. And that's the guy I want to talk about. Eric Haas, I don't care. He's not great. He's not a great baseball player, but he always does something to help this baseball team. Last year, there was multiple times where he had a big home run for the Brewers in a big moment. He'd step up with the bats weren't cooking. Haas would get a hit. Haas would hit a home run. It's just Haas is just a steady guy. He's a steady guy. And right now, I got to be honest with you, I've seen a lot of people blaming pitch calling on Contreras right now. I don't want to say that's a complete problem because I think pitching in general has been a problem with the location, but I think location calling has been a problem. I think pitch calling has been a problem. Is that Contreras? I'm not going to say completely that somebody isn't in his ear telling him what to call, but if it is Contreras calling these games right now, I don't like it. Because, like I said, I talked to Aaron at the commercial break there. We were talking about, Haas and that. And I said, I'd be interested to see Haas catch for Freddie tomorrow. And because we pre-recorded, so we haven't seen Freddie pitch yet. But I said I'd be interested to see Haas catch for Freddie. See how Freddie does. If Freddie pitches lights out, then I'd be like, I'd be interested to see Haas catch for Nestor Cortez. See what happens, right? Because I think Contreras, he loves the hard stuff. He loves calling for the hard stuff. That doesn't always work, right? I saw the percentage usage of some of these, like the hard stuff the guys were throwing there. And between Cortez and Freddie and those guys and how many home runs they gave up, and it was like, maybe you should have stuck to the breaking ball. Maybe just a little bit more. So right now with this Brewers team, this is the biggest question. This is the one we got to answer here. Are we going to start losing our minds? Because, goodness, I got everybody across social media, everybody out there is like, this sucks, they suck, this is it, that's it, blah, blah, market and us, sell the team, this, that, blah, blah, everything else. And it's like, settle. Dial back. We're okay. We're 4 games into a season. Now we're 5, right? We got 1 win. We're 1-4. We're 5 games in. We're going to be 6 games as you guys are listening to this tomorrow. I don't know the outcome yet, so we'll wait and see. Maybe we're going to be 1-5. Maybe we're 2-4. It's a young season yet, guys. Like, it's young. There's 150 some games left here, right? 157? Maybe?
Yeah, after tomorrow, yeah.
157, 150, whatever it is, right? I don't want to do math right now, but whatever it is. That's a lot of games. What happens if they just rattle off 150 straight wins? I don't know. Like, it could be something crazy. Like, we're sitting here and we're freaking out like the Brewers have nothing. And I hear guys, they're like, well, this is the least exciting Brewers team I've ever seen, and this and that and everything else in between. And it's like, guys, it just started. Half the team isn't even here yet. Woodruff's still coming. Tobias Myers is hurt. Quintana's still coming. Like, we're waiting for guys to come off the injured list. Just wait. Pump the brakes for 5 seconds. If I have to eat my words on this, I'm going to eat my words. The Brewers are fine. They're fine. The offense is stunk to start. When your top 4 guys in your order there, between Hoskins and Yelich and Contreras and Chourio in that first series there, completely stunk. And Chourio struck out 5 times in the opening day. It kind of was a sucky start. Your offense was struggling. Your pitching was struggling. Everything sucked. So they just had to settle in. And hopefully last night's game, hopefully you guys saw a win today. We saw a win today, right? Hopefully we saw a win today. We're all feeling good about it again. That's the hope, right? That's the hope there, is they're all feeling great about Brewer baseball here when we come back next Wednesday there. So, Aaron, let's hit him up. Before we get out of here, Aaron's got our fact of the day. Aaron, what do we got?
Yeah, all the way back in 1792, the Coinage Act was enacted in the United States, establishing the first mint, which I've actually been to in Philadelphia, and the federal regulation of coins. So, I mean, pretty cool, right? Like, they print money there. So, I mean, kind of cool to see it. And that was a long time ago.
That's a long time ago. That is a long darn time. I heard that it costs like 3 pennies to make 1 penny. So there is something like that. It was something weird like that. Something weird. So I mean, like, wow. So, hey, I mean, if you missed any of the show tonight there, make sure you check us across podcast site, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. You can find us out there. Just search Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. You can find us across social media. Just search Wisco Sports on the Go with Trage. But with that, for Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you guys back here next Wednesday. But until then, see ya.